Hi guys, welcome back to my miniature things. My name is Saeed. In our last video, we built a bedroom and I featured some lamps, and the majority of the comments were you guys asking for a tutorial on those lamps. So I am here to give the people what they want. So if you want to see how to make some miniature lamps that actually work, keep watching. So this is the lamp in question. You guys went crazy over this lamp. So we are going to rebuild this exact lamp, but in gold. Just because I already have a couple silver ones and I don't want to end up with a bunch of silver lamps. But we will be following every single step that I took to build this lamp, including the part where it lights up. So I start with a scrap piece of foam board. This one measures 3 inches by 5 inches, and I use a piece of gold craft paper to cover it. Like this. I do like to cover my foam board in my craft paper before I start crafting, just so I don't have to cut the foam board and then cut a piece of craft paper to fit over it. When I cut, I just cut everything at once. Not to mention, it also gives a much neater outcome. I am then going to cut a piece that is 1.5 inches by 3 inches out of this piece. As you can see on our initial lamp, I did use a marble contact paper for the lamp stand itself, and I also used that same paper on the bottom of the lamp just to give it a more finished look. I decided to go with this marble contact paper for this project. I found this one at Dollar Tree. So I flip it over, peel back the backing, take my 1.5 by 3 inch piece and place it right on the corner. And then I use my scissors to trim off the excess. And now both of our sides are finished, but our actual sides are not finished. So I cut a 1/4 inch strip of our gold craft paper and I glue it all around the sides so that it looks something like this, covering up all traces of foam board. I then cut a piece of that foam board that we covered in gold craft paper, and this measures 1 inch by 2 inches. And I'm also going to cover the edges of that in gold craft paper. We are now going to take our 1 inch by 2 inch piece and our 1.5 inch by 3 inch piece and place them one on top of the other, giving us a finished base to our lamp. Now let's work on the stem. So I cut 2 pieces of foam board that measure 1 inch by 3 inches. And usually, as I said, I do like to cover my foam board before I cut it. But today I want specific patterns from my contact paper in the front of my lamp. So now I take the piece that I just cut and I place it exactly where I want the pattern, and then I just cut it out and then stick it like this. And now I have the exact patterns that I want from the contact paper on the front of my foam board. I am then going to take these 2 pieces and stick them back to back. Then I take a 1/2 inch strip of our gold craft paper and I run it along 3 sides. So we're running it along the side, the top, and the other side, and we leave the bottom clear so that the glue holds better when we stick it to our stand. But before we do that, let's add a design element to the front of our stem. So I cut a piece of our gold craft paper down to 1/16 of an inch, and I place 2 strips of it right down the middle of our stem, and now we can place that on our base. Now let's make the part that holds up the lampshade. So I still have this little piece of foam board that's left over. I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch strip from this, like this, and then we're going to use 1/4 inch strips of our craft paper to cover all the other sides of the foam board. Oh, forgot to mention, we are going to leave one side completely bare. We're not going to cover that in craft paper. And I also forgot to mention the length of this piece is 2 inches. Now we need to attach this piece that we just made to the rest of the lamp. The problem is that the bottom of this is just too small. There's not enough to grip there to hold up the lampshade and not break off. So I'm actually going to take this ice pick thingy, I think they call it an awl, and I'm going to make a hole right down the middle. I'm also going to make a hole right down the middle of this piece. So you should have a hole on the top of the lamp and a hole in the stem. I take a toothpick. I looked for one of the thickest ones and I just slide it in here. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in here so it doesn't spill over the sides. And then I'm going to take this toothpick and shove it in here. Okay, you guys, I actually ended up using this steel rod in the middle of mine just because I want it to be super strong. The toothpick also works. Like, this one is actually made with toothpicks and it's totally fine. But sometimes I'm a little bit rough with my miniatures and I have broken a couple of my lamps in the past just because I am a beast. But if you do decide to go the toothpick route, you are going to put one toothpick in here like I showed you in the beginning, and then you are going to make a hole on the top and slide another toothpick in the top. As for me, I just did one steel rod going all the way from the middle all the way through this little piece right here coming out the top. But regardless, if you choose to use the toothpick or you choose to use the metal rod, make sure to leave a 1/2 inch on the top so that we can use that to attach the lampshade. We're almost done. Let's make that lampshade. So I cut 2 pieces of foam board down to 2 inches by 3 inches, and then 2 more pieces of foam board at 1 inch by 2 inches. I also cut a strip. This is about 1/8 of an inch by 2.5 inches. I start by taking my 1 by 2 inch piece and gluing it to the back side of my 2 inch by 3 inch piece. I then made a mark on my 1 inch by 2 inch piece about 1 inch up, and then I placed my 1/8 inch piece right on the top of that mark. You can now take your other 1" by 2" piece and place it on the other side, making sure to glue your 1/8" piece on both sides. We can now place our other 2" by 3" piece on the other side, giving us our lampshade. Now we need to cover all of these ugly edges of foam board in gold craft paper, like this, so you can't see any of the edges of our foam board. I am now going to take my awl and go right to the middle of that 1/8" piece and make a hole. Honestly, you guys probably should do this before you attach that piece to the rest of the lampshade, just because it is so fragile. Also, if you want to make that a little bit thicker, you could also use like a wood stir or maybe a thicker piece of foam board, just so it's a lot sturdier. I didn't really think about that till this point, so too late for me, but you guys, there's still hope for you. I'm now going to take the top of my metal rod in my lamp and insert it right into that hole that we made earlier. If you did this with a toothpick, you'd be inserting your toothpick into that hole. Now, as you can see, this is not a sturdy lampshade, so I'm just going to lay it down and then put a bead of glue on the top so that the lampshade doesn't shake about. You could also use a shiny little bead and put it right on the top, so it just looks more finished even when you're looking at it from above. And now we have a finished lamp. Well, actually not quite finished. Now for the lighting. I'm gonna use these mini fairy lights. They are a 12-pack. I bought these either on Amazon or on Temu. I was looking through my shopping history on both of those and I can't find them, but I know I did get them either on Temu or on Amazon. They were just a few dollars for 12 of them. And this is what they look like. They have this little battery pack and then you just pull out the plastic and you turn it on. On, please. Thank you. And they light up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna keep all of these lights. You can trim it down if you like if you want like a dimmer lamp, but who really wants a dimmer lamp? I want it as bright as possible. So I'm just gonna crumple these up as small as I can get it. And then I like to do this with the lights on, just because as you saw right there, the lights do sometimes go out, like when I crumple them up really small. So if you do choose to turn your lights off, like when you're crumpling it up into a ball, make sure and turn it back on before you install it, because sometimes they do go out. And then I'm just gonna place this in from the top, slipping the battery pack through the lampshade. Come on out. Okay. And then once I have my ball of light in there, I kind of just like squish it down and put it to the front of the lamp like this. And you can see the front of the lamp is where we have those two gold lines. You put it in the front, in between the lampshade and the thing that's holding up the lampshade. So your battery pack should be hanging out like this. And now we're just going to take a piece of clear tape and stick it right over that so that we can hold this wire in place. Just like this. And you guys, as you can see, this is in the back of the lamp, so I really don't care what it looks like. But if it were up to me, I would totally use duct tape. But the thing is, these battery packs don't last very long, so I can't really put something that permanent, or else when I try to remove it, it will ruin the lamp. I repeated to make another one, and now we have matching lamps that actually work. Oh my god, you guys, so cute. I'm so glad that you guys asked me to do this tutorial, because now I have these lamps in gold. Okay, you guys, there you guys go. As heavily requested, I did the lamp tutorial. And just remember, you guys can use this tutorial to make any scale of lamp. Just add or subtract from the measurements accordingly. I did want to change it up from the original lamps, how we had like the white lampshades, but if I had put contact paper over my foam board, we would have lost the opacity, and then we wouldn't be able to see the light through the foam board, which is fine. Like, the light would have come through the top and the bottom, but if you guys do want that little glow in the front, like we had in front of our lamps in this video, please be mindful when you're using contact paper. But anyways, you guys, if you guys like this video, please give it a huge thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.